everyone, I am Rebecca from ChemKnits, and welcome to the recap of the yarn that we dyed on May 21st, 2019 during a live stream where I was swatching, I think, 17 different new-to-me Dharma acid dye colors. Once I had gotten a sense of the relative hues of these colors, I then layered them on top of one another to create the finished yarn we see here. Our more fall orangey colorway was completely exhausted and there wasn't a lot of bleeding. But our more colorful yarn, post-stream washing update, I think one of the blues is not binding really well. Actually, it's better. I added a bunch of vinegar and water to our beautiful skein and then microwaved it for probably 5 minutes total. I had done a bunch of rinses, and so I felt okay putting it in the microwave, but actually that's not so bad compared to what it was. There was just a lot of like this bright blue bleeding. It's still very hot. I'm gonna let it cool completely and then do my best to rinse this clear. But one of these blues is, if you know which one it was, let me know in the comments. Maybe the Caribbean blue or one of the teals that was a similar brightness. I love randomly swatching colors with this technique. I think that it's a great way to get a sense of, are the speckles different colors? What are their relative hues? And it's just really, really helpful. In our first skein, I looked at 6 different colors that were sort of warm yellow, orange, and brown. We looked at Fluorescent Lemon, Fawn, Sand Dune, Pecan Brown, which feel like this is a very similar hue. It feels like Sand Dune is a less concentrated version of the Pecan Brown. Saffron Spice, and Golden Poppy. I wish I had some of these colors back when I was doing my dye-along inspired by the fox, but I am very excited to have these in my collection to pull from as straight colors, but also to use with further mixing. Next, I went for everything else. Originally, I considered breaking this up into 2 skeins, but I decided to go for it and layer on a lot of different, only tangentially related colors in pinks, purples, blues, and greens. I used platinum, blued steel, Caribbean blue, true turquoise, sour apple, radioactive, lilac, bright aqua, sapphire blue, deep magenta, and berry crush. And then once again, once I had finished swatching them and took a picture so I could label it with all the color names, I then layered these on top of each other to create this really vibrant, bright colorway that you see here. I have done this 3 other times in the past where I played with different new-to-me Dharma acid dye colors. This was so helpful as a way for me to narrow down what colors I wanted to put together and get a sense of their strengths and intensities. And yes, it's crude. It probably would be better to go and swatch and make a 1% stock solution and look at maybe a 1%, 2%, and 4% depth of shade for each of the colors. But that is more labor intensive. And since I tend to be someone who dyes by feel anyway, using these dry powders directly on the yarn is really helpful. 2 of the videos that I've done with this technique are already out on the channel. So you can go watch me play around with some cool toned Dharma acid dyes. And you can also watch me go and play with some more warm toned Dharma acid dyes with this swatching then layering technique. There's a 3rd video that will be coming out later this summer where I layered a bunch of greens and pinks together, and I think that the color combination of the final yarn ended up completely incredible. I really enjoy randomly choosing colors and layering them together. I have done this in the past with food coloring where I would draw out of a hat different colors and combine them and see what kind of colorways we could create. I think we could have fun doing something similar, but maybe with a selection of Dharma or even Jacquard acid dyes. Maybe if I were to draw 4 or 5 out of a hat, then I could challenge myself to combine them in some kind of way. Now, granted, the colors that you select, you might decide a different technique on how to combine them, whether or not you want to blend them or use the powders layered in this kind of way. There's a lot of different ways that you could play with it, but that could be an interesting challenge for me to try out at a later date. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. I really wish that I had the time where I could edit the live streams down to something shorter so it's more manageable to watch as a replay. However, unless I set up a second camera to film like I would an episode of Dye Pot Weekly, I just don't have the time to process the live streams in this way. They're just too long and it's too much footage for me to do. I did try in this video to create a highlight clips, but again, I discovered that the highlights are based on what you are seeing with the delay versus what I'm doing in real time. And so it would be really tricky for me to manage, say, an introduction and create that as a highlight clip while I'm actually talking and doing other things. So maybe someday, if I have someone who can help manage the technical aspects while I'm streaming, then this is something that I could accomplish, because they could be listening in headphones and create the clips at the correct times. But it would just be too hard for me to manage waiting 45 seconds to press the button while I'm giving an introduction or while I'm adding dye into the pan. This is a long way to say that the main reason why I do these recaps are to show you in more accurate detail and colors the kinds of yarn that we created, but also so that way you know from looking at the finished yarn if you want to go back and watch and see exactly how I dyed it. That replay is there. I always leave the replays up. I certainly plan on adding more different dye colors to my arsenal over the summer and the next year. And so I have a feeling that we might do some more of these swatching type videos going forward. I also could definitely play with this with dyes that I already have in my collection and say group them by color family, like do all the reds and pinks, all the blues, all the yellows. If this is something that you guys would be interested in, please let me know in the comments and I'll see if I can make it happen. I am Rebecca from ChemKnits, and if you enjoyed this video, like, subscribe, turn on notifications by pressing that bell icon. I release at least 2 new yarn dyeing videos every week on Tuesday and Friday mornings, but I also do frequent live streams and unboxings, and I love to hang out and chat with all of you. If you would like to support ChemKnits on another level, go and check out the ChemKnits Creations Etsy shop. Not only is the shop filled with hand-dyed yarn featured in past and upcoming videos, but there are ChemKnits Creations tote bags, a few tie-dyed t-shirts, and some really special listings. Individuals can sponsor an episode of Dye Pot Weekly, get shout-outs in the video, and then receive at least 100 grams of yarn that I dye in that video, designed with you in mind. And honestly, those are some of my favorite videos in the world to create. Also, there are still a few pre-order slots left. Thank you so much for watching, everyone.